Welcome back. Will Worsham joins us for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Thanks for coming in, Will.
Happy to be here.
Good to see you. Look nice and tan.
Thanks.
Yeah, been on vacation.
Been on
Glad to have
vacation.
you back.
Yes, thanks.
Well, let's jump into today's question. Are you ready, Will?
Ready.
All right. I started a business. My banker advised that I have to have an LLC, so I made one on the Secretary of State's website. And I took him the paperwork and certificate, but he says I need an operating agreement. I couldn't find that on the website, and I don't know why I didn't get it when I paid for the LLC. Will,
Okay.
what does all that mean?
Well, this happens to people all the time because you can't. First of all, you don't have to have an LLC to have a business.
Which is, talk about what an LLC
All right.
is.
Oh, sure. Good.
Yeah.
It's a limited liability company. It's something that was created by statute, kind of as a half measure between people that had corporations, and those were kind of a pain to deal with. So we created these limited liability companies that really give most people all the benefits of having a corporation without some of the headaches. So that's what a limited liability company is.
And it protects you more than like a sole proprietorship would.
Way more than a sole proprietorship.
Okay.
So the legal advice given by the banker was good, because you should have an LLC if you're going to be in business. Highly recommend it. But a lot of people do exactly what this person did. They just go to the Secretary of State's website, and you can fill out an online form, and for $50, and they'll give you a certificate, and you have an LLC. But it's really not complete.
Sort of have an LLC. Okay.
Right. Well, you have one. I mean, it exists. It's its own entity. It's going to have a charter.
But there's more to it than that.
There really is, because first of all, you fill out that form. There's a couple different things that are really specific about the way you need to fill them out. And if you fill them out wrong, particularly your purpose statement, you can wind up operating outside of your purpose if you didn't craft that language correctly, and then you lose all the protections from an LLC because you're not acting under the authority granted under that charter.
How important is the purpose statement?
It's one of the most critical things.
So if you start a business and you put that purpose, but what if your business evolves? Do you have to change it then?
Well, if you craft it correctly, like I have language I put in mine, it actually solves that problem. You don't have to worry about it.
But you need to know this going in.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And
know
not
that.
just make it up on the fly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, the operating agreement, very important here. The operating agreement is what actually gives officers, managers, members of the LLC the authority to act. And so a bank is always going to want to see the operating agreement because they don't know that you coming in there just because you own the LLC or a portion of it does not necessarily mean you have the authority to open bank accounts or borrow money. So it's the operating agreement is what the bankers are going to want to see. And then you don't get that from the Secretary of State's office. That's not what their function is. So a lot of
So where do you get that?
Well, lawyers usually draft
Oh,
them.
lawyers.
Yeah. Or you could
call Will. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Then do you put this on file somewhere for people to see, or do you just hang on
You
to
have it, and
Okay.
then your banker usually is going to ask for a copy of it. There are certain entities, when you interact with them, are going to be savvy enough to know we'd like to see a copy of the operating agreement, have it on file, to know that you're acting within your authority as a member or as a manager of that limited liability company. Okay, so that's something that most people that try to do this themselves are going to miss.
Right, I wouldn't have known to do that at all.
The other step is...
Yeah, that's not something I was familiar with either, so good to know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the other step.
The other step is you're going to need a federal tax ID number, an employer identification number. You actually can get that from the IRS website. It's pretty easy to get as well.
So you can go online and do that yourself?
You can.
That sounds daunting. To get a federal tax ID number sounds daunting to me.
Well, and I can understand that because once again, you have to answer a lot of questions and you want to answer them correctly. We actually have a website called mymissourillc.com that people can go on, fill out a form. We charge a flat fee, and we get all that done for you.
And so that way your bases are covered.
And then you've got everything you need.
Because
Well, that sounds the way to do it then.
Yeah, if you go to the Secretary of State, does it even mention on there the thing about the operating
No,
agreement?
because they're not allowed to give legal advice.
Okay.
You have to be a
so that's
lawyer to give legal advice,
So
so
no
a
wonder
governmental
people don't
website
know.
can't advise people on things like that. Neither can the clerks or the people that work there.
So does that deter people from starting a business?
I would hope not.
I
It's-
hope not.
It's really not that hard.
Yeah, you've made it simple. Because again, I'm used to creative side and hearing that legal stuff. You've made it simple.
Well, that's the idea.
Oh, and you consider all the things you don't know. So if you
Right.
walked into the bank, or you had someone that you work with walk into the bank, that you could be just totally sidelined.
Well, we have
if you
a
don't
number of
understand.
commercial lenders in town that'll refer their clients to us and say, just go there.
Just go and get it taken care of.
And the flat fee, and you sign up, and then it's done. Then you don't have to worry about it.
And we actually do it all online with our process too. So you don't even have to come see us. if
Easy
you don't want
breezy.
to.
The website once again is
mymissourillc.com.
mymissourillc.com. All right. If you have a legal question for Will, email him at wworsham@color10.com. He will answer your question on the show, and that one was a dandy. I learned a lot today.
I did
All right.
too.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks, Will.
You're welcome.
All
Hey,
right.
we'll be right back to wrap up things right after this, so don't go anywhere.
No one works harder for Missouri than Senator Roy Blunt. Roy Blunt is dedicated to strengthening our economy by keeping taxes low on working families and small businesses. And he's leading efforts to eliminate unnecessary burdens on job creators so they can grow. In Washington, Roy Blunt has worked to break partisan gridlock to solve some of our nation's most vexing problems. Call Senator Roy Blunt. Thank him for fighting for Missouri families. The American Chemistry Council is responsible for the content of this advertising.